with friendly service and a fun atmosphere. High quality, low prices. We are Food Giant. Our deli serving breakfast, lunch, supper. Food Giant, 702 Highway 15 North, Ripley. Come shop Food Giant. Want fresh meat and fresh produce? Food Giant's the place. High quality, low prices. Food Giant. Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Now, welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins.
Cummins on the Ask Dr. Cummins Show. Phone number 587-8176. Please give it a call and ask your questions for our show. This show airs every Thursday night at 6:30 for your convenience and viewing pleasure, and we certainly need to get you involved as a community. So don't back off. No question is too big or too small, and no question is too smart or too dumb. Any question about your medical situations or about anything concerning medicine, Dr. Cummins has put the show, and we're all trying to get a good kind of like Ask Dr. Cummins show going, so we need your assistance. Please give us a call. Write this number down once again, 587-8176. Good afternoon, Dr. Cummins.
Definitely, Alan.
Well, oh yeah, man, I'm going to tell you what, other than the chill in the morning, we've had some great weather.
It is. It's been a beautiful day today.
I bet you've had a lot of colds or flu starting up, or some of it.
Had a little bit of that going on, and people still getting the flu shots. And did see a strep throat today, so strep's out there wandering around, and it's not unusual to see strep and some like flu at the same time.
I know my kids go to Ripley High School, and they've had several of their friends out with what they call the strep throat. That's very contagious, isn't it?
It can be, especially if they're having fever.
Hang on just a minute, Doc. Yes, sir. You're going to just set your key down. That'll be fine. Just set it over there on that briefcase right there. Thank you. We need to do anything?
Just him to pass.
Okay.
I can hold on for that.
Okay. All right.
That's cool.
Thank you. All right. We'll get back to the show. I had to take care of somebody coming through the door. Excuse me, Doc.
No worries.
Anyway, we were talking about strep throat. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's easily contagious, and especially if they're having fever at the time. And certainly you don't want to have your child at school with strep throat and having fever. They usually need to be about 24 hours without fever before you send them back to school.
Of course, I guess a combination of both, but what's the quickest cure for that?
Typically,
I know
if
it depends on the
strep,
severity of it.
but if it's strep, you're going to use antibiotics.
Okay.
That's
Probably
100%.
get a shot and then something, a pill.
Yeah, definitely something by mouth. And if it's a high fever, you're certainly going to get
I've heard different stories, and while you're talking about that, in an adult, 104 is terrible. Well, 104 is terrible, I guess, in anybody. But in an adult, it's a lot worse than in a child, right?
That's correct.
What's the break point there? What's all that about?
It's got to do with how high that temperature gets will start killing brain cells and damaging the brain. So children's brains and bodies they can handle a lot more variability in their temperatures and other lab values, if you will. But but adults, their bodies cannot handle rapid changes well. So too high or too low, too fast in an adult can certainly be a lot worse than in a child. Children can get 104, 105 and bounce right back. But an adult, that's quite a shock to their body.
And you mentioned something too high, too low, too fast, too slow. In other words, if you've got 104 degrees in the morning and you drop down to 100 or 99 by 3 o'clock that afternoon, that's not a good thing, is it?
Now, with an adult, usually it's going to be a gradual decrease. But certainly, if you're using medicine like antibiotics and Tylenol and ibuprofen and things like that, it's going to come down. And you certainly want it. I guess the break point you're discussing is 101.5.
Okay.
That's cause anything above that or that number is considered like real fever. Other than that, it's just elevated body temperature for a clinician, for a doctor. But sometimes we still will give some medicine, such as Tylenol and ibuprofen, if that patient is having body aches or feeling bad. But if the child's not feeling bad up and playing and they just have an elevated body temperature, we're not so concerned with it being below 101.5.
So 101.5 is kind of your danger point.
That's
or
right.
That's when you start thinking, well, I might need to go check this out.
And like I share with my patients and was taught to me, that an elevated body temperature is God's way of the body killing the virus or the bacteria that like to live at 98.6. Okay? So it makes it a little hostile environment for that virus or bacteria.
Which is a good thing.
Right. And so that's why we really don't mind it being up a little bit. However, when it gets to over the 101.5, we start paying attention because we know if it stays up too high or too long, we can start causing brain damage. And I don't know about everybody else, but I don't want to lose what I've got.
No, don't want to lose one little old whatever it is in there.
That's it.
Hard enough to keep it going. Marble, we'll call it marbles.
Yeah, don't want to lose any
keep our
other
marbles. That's right.
That's right.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I just one of my grandsons came home and mentioned that so and so, I won't call names, had a strep throat and was out. So that is going around, and it is pretty contagious. Which brings me to a question. I had a question from an older lady. She's talking about remedies for the common cold. And, everybody realizes when their nose gets stuffy or when they start maybe coughing a little bit and they know, well, I've got a little cold. What's the safe thing to treat that yourself? Any suggestions on what people might be able to do to try to treat that themselves, kind of like what would be a common remedy for a common cold?
Right.
Without going to see the doctor, okay?
Right. Again, first thing to try is, there's several things actually you can do for yourself. And one is decrease sweets.
Decrease sweets.
They've done some studies that show the higher your sugar intake when you're ill, that's going to be it's going to take longer for you to recover.
Wow,
So,
I never heard of that.
Decrease sweets, decrease 100% fruit juices.
Don't drink fruit juices.
And that's
Well, orange
sugar.
juice, I always thought drinking orange juice was a good thing for
Well,
when
the
you have
vitamin C is good, and you can certainly take some vitamin C, but the 100% fruit juice, anything that's got pure sugar, or the more natural, fresh squeezed orange juice probably okay. But a lot of anything that's got like high fructose corn syrup, you want to stay away from. And other things that you can do for yourself are like, we have one product I know that we carry in the clinic called ImmunoShield, and it has echinacea and a lot of other types of herbs and vitamins that have been proven to boost your immune system and help decrease the duration of your disease, i.e., for example, the common cold. That helps. Increasing your fluids, water being the most important thing, and
drink a lot of water.
yeah, and mixing in there some electrolytes such as
Well,
Gatorade.
you're older people, and I say you're older people. I guess it was passed on down from grandmother to grandmother, but that's usually when you're sick. That's one of the first things you hear anybody that's in the older generations tell you is drink a lot of water. Drink a lot of water,
Yeah,
and that don't have to be for the cold. That's for anything. Drink a lot of water.
The average older person, I'd say even over 50, I was just reading, I was just studying last night, most of the older population already are somewhat dehydrated compared to a 18-year-old Army recruit, which is usually, that's the bar that they do all these studies by. So certainly keeping your fluids up, because if your fluids go down, that increases your likelihood of developing low blood pressure. Not only just detoxifying your body, but if you lower that blood pressure, you are increasing your rate of having a fall. And really interesting read last night that I was doing. I did not realize how severe this was, but if you're an elderly person and you fall, your risk, and you are hospitalized for that, you have a 50% likelihood that you won't be alive a year from then.
Wow.
So we want to prevent falls. Needless to say, so
Now
you're
talking about just walking down the road and you hit a rock the wrong way and zoop, your feet go out from under you and you fall.
And if you have to be hospitalized for that event,
Like with a hip or
with a hip,
with
for
anything.
example, the likelihood of you being alive is 50%. That's a rough estimate, but that's what I was reading, and that was
What is
evidence.
where does that how does that come in? Your heart, I mean,
It probably means that
the
there's
jar
other,
to the
other
body?
things going on with the body
okay.
that created that fall. And the number one thing, like in our even in our pulmonary rehab, but anything that's increasing the strength of your muscles, that is the number one thing you can do to prevent that fall. And we want to prevent falls in the elderly. And so whether you've got the common cold or dehydrated or something like, you want to prevent falls. That's I was just really taken by
Well,
that
that
article
leads
last
me
night.
into, and I'll get back to this common cold. We'll go over that, but that leads into, and it's a perfect lead into my next idea that was presented to me to ask you.
Sure.
Number 2 on the list that I've gotten response to is called achy joints. Things like knee replacements and hip replacements. How do you know when to exercise to help, like you just said, exercise or building the muscles up to help prevent the falls is a good thing.
Right.
But how do you know in your joints that maybe you exercising when you're at an elderly state is not hurting your joints?
Right.
How do you, I mean, I guess, does the pain tip you off? Let's say you're used to walking a mile, all right, and then you do that for 5 years, all right, and then all of a sudden you get up one morning and your knee starts hurting, and then all of a sudden, well, your back starts hurting the next day or something. Is that a sign that you might be exercising too much?
That's a good question, and
Did I get across what I?
Yes, and what a lot of physiatrists, which are medical doctors that specialize in physical therapy, say is that when you work out, you should work out to being sore, but not to work out to being in pain. You want to push it a little bit above your regular, normal baseline activities, but just to being sore. You shouldn't ever exercise to the point of pain. And once you recognize that you're getting close to that, you need to scale it down a little bit. Because when you're talking about exercise, you're doing it for your life cycle. It's not for that one day or to impress that pretty girl at the gym or something like that. You're doing it for the rest of your life. And you want to just do it to getting sore so you can do it for the rest of your life. Not to pain, because you have pain, you're going to hurt something.
Well, is there a certain age limit then? I guess this may be is there a certain age limit on that? Or you just use that rule of thumb at 70, 60, 50, 40, 20? Do you use that same rule of thumb?
Well, I tell you, it's a big variability in people's fitness. And because say if like Joe Weider, who was one of the famous weightlifters and bodybuilders a long time ago, I mean, that dude is working out in his 70s, and I think he may be 80 now.
Well, Jack LaLanne.
Right.
He's in his 90s, and he's still selling stuff on television.
And
I thought I saw
so their average fitness is going to be much higher than probably in their peer group or other people in their 90s or 80s. So the best thing you can do, especially if you've not exercised a lot, but you're really getting serious about it and wanting to get started, you need a trainer. That would be the best recommended thing. And
you can do that. Now, we have, I'm not interrupting, but we have programs available at the Tippah County Wellness Center.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
And,
Am I not correct?
and
They
do.
trained professionals there to
They do.
assist you. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the city of Ripley has, or at least they have a director there. I believe it's Kim Hellis, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's not
Well, Dina
Elliott. That's
Dina
right.
Elliott, I think, is the main person. And I think we have another gym here also. I'm not sure whether they
That's
have
the total body gym.
certified trainers or not.
Yeah, they do.
But you know, if you're just now getting into it, they can help you get into it, ease you into it, if you will. Instead, you don't want to just go in there not knowing what you're doing. And if you're going to do weight training, I would certainly start off with the machines before I started doing free weights. Free weights require a lot greater control and coordination of your body movements, where that machine's going to make you do it right each time.
Well, I've been in both places, and they have the treadmill-looking machines and the bicycles. I mean, those type things you're talking about, stationary bicycles.
That's right. And well, there's even like a Smith machine, which has got all those different. I think that man just passed away recently. The man that invented that, but
He
there's
was
several.
working out too much on his machine.
Yeah, like chest
Excuse
pain machine, chest press. There's different types of deals that machines that really control your movements, so you really don't injure yourself.
Well, so the availability is there. If somebody was sitting around watching the program, they said, well, I might like to get on that. They could call, set up a time at either the Total Body Gym. I'm sure they're set up much like the Tippah County Hospital Wellness Center.
That's right.
And talk to Dina Elliott at the Wellness Center.
But the best thing you can do to get started is start walking.
Walking.
Cardiologists say 30 to 40 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Anything is good, but just start off walking. Do a little more each day, and just keep
Around
pushing
the block, then around the block and a half, then
Right.
around the block twice.
And we've got some great places. You've got indoor access here in Ripley, with part of the school over there.
I've seen people go around Walmart.
The gyms, Walmart's great.
Believe it or not.
If you can avoid meeting people that you know.
That's right.
And then we have the track right out there at the park by the baseball field.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other places too that I may not be aware of.
One's in Blue Mountain.
Yeah,
I've seen a walking
That's a
track in
great
Blue
park
Mountain.
there too.
I think Faulkner's got one. I believe Walden's. I believe every town in Tippah County, I believe, has a walking.
So they're
track.
trying to do that for you. Take advantage of your tax dollars at work. And the more people that go, I bet the more they'll even build it up and make it even nicer for you.
Yeah. Well, Doc, let's take a break. Tony, we'll take a break. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors.
I'm gonna tell this dude to get my check.
Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Now, welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins. Magnolia State Family Medicine, Health Center and Medical Spa, 1009B City Avenue North, Ripley, 587-8176. Call for your appointment. Providing modern medicine with Southern hospitality. That's Magnolia State Family Medicine, 100% veteran-owned and operated. Bethel University Physician Assistant Program affiliated. Magnolia State Family Medicine. Dr. Christopher J. M. Cummins, Medical Doctor. Now, welcome to Ask Dr. Cummins. Please call 587-8176. Ask Dr. Cummins.
All right, we're back, and we certainly would like to express that when you go into our sponsor's place, please tell them you saw their ad on TV 19. We certainly would appreciate it. back to what we were talking about. We're talking about, you know, our younger people are going to get their exercise. At least there are programs in school. They each have to take. I think they're required to take an hour a day of physical education in school. I believe every student that's in our school system in Tippah County goes through a quote rigorous physical education type program every day that they're at school. So you can kind of count on up to age 18 getting normal amount of exercise, or at least it's allotted that way anyway.
Yeah, I would say they're certainly informed about it.
Right.
They're certainly made aware of what they need to do.
Now they may not
and
take
all that
advantage,
stuff.
okay?
That's correct.
And there's people that you know, in anything, there's people that are going to do it, and then there's people not going to do it. But basically, they're set up to do it.
Right.
And I guess when you go to one of these health centers like we've got in Ripley, the Total Body Gym and the Tippah County Wellness Center, I believe that's what they call it, right? Tippah County
That's right. Wellness Center.
TCWC,
I
whatever.
think that's correct.
Those things, and I know something goes on over at the City Park, over at the City Gymnasium. They used to go, I think a lot of seniors go,
Right.
and when the weather's bad, they go over there and walk
Yeah, I think
around.
it's like for $1 or $2 or something. You can go
Right.
in there.
Well, there's a fee, and there's a fee at the Wellness Center too. The typical, it's not a free service, and it's not a free gymnasium. I know there's fees there, and then of
Right.
course Total Body Gym is a private business, so there'll be a fee there, but you can pay a monthly fee at both places, and utilize their expertise, and it's a lot more than just. I mean, you go by and you see them lifting weights, you know, well, I can't do that at 50 or 60, but you can get on those machines. Exercise is important.
Guarantee it'll be money well spent.
Yeah, you know, I don't think there's any argument there. But anyway, that gets back to the point of my overall question was the pain, and you say work it up to you at least get maybe a normal sore. But if it starts becoming painful, then you need to either cut back, or you may have something going on that you need to get checked out.
Right. And
Is
if
that right?
you have a pain that does not go away, you need to see a clinician or a doctor, and have that dude worked up. And if you're especially concerned and you think, man, my health has been really bad, I'm taking a lot of different medicine, you're never wrong to go to your physician and say, I'm planning on starting this medical a regimen of exercise. Can you help me with that? We're there to assist you in any way possible, and we can certainly help point you in the right direction and get you started.
Well, that's, and especially when you read something or you study something that says that more than likely within a year after an elderly person falls, they might not be around within a year. That's pretty traumatic, and
Yeah, it is.
that makes you stop and think.
That's right.
Well, I hope that answered that question. One more question that the elderly lady, these are elderly people I'm talking with,
Sure.
it's what they call fungus under the nails.
Mhm.
I guess you meant either fingernails or toenails. I guess it may be more prevalent under toenails. But this person had gone as far to have her nails removed and then scrape the roots. Well, my question was, the roots of what? Have you ever heard of that?
I have.
What roots are you scraping there?
The fancy name for fungus of the nails is tinea. Tinea is fungus, and unguium is under the nails.
Tennis unguent.
Tinea unguium, and it's difficult to eradicate, but it can certainly be done.
Is it age prevalent, or can it happen at any age?
No, you can have any age. Sometimes it's associated with not having a good immune system. Diabetes always rearing its head up.
Well, that's why diabetes, the foot, usually when something goes wrong, to a diabetic,
Yeah.
subject to happen,
That's right, your extremities. And poor blood supply can also lead to that. But moisture and heat allow fungus to grow. You certainly get those things in your nails. And there's topicals, that's things you put on top of your skin or your nail. Then there's orals, or medicine by mouth, that you can use to eradicate it. And sometimes it does take doing a nickelectomy or cutting the nail off.
All the way?
It can be done, but I would certainly recommend trying the medicine and stuff unless you just could care less about having your nail. Most, especially younger people, they want to preserve them nails, keep them feet looking good for the beach and the hands.
Well,
and
I can
all that
see
stuff.
maybe a man, well, you know, I got socks on me, but a woman that wears sandals and everything, they probably want to keep their nails.
Right.
Well, you know, once you take the nail off, it's gone,
Yeah.
right?
That's correct.
Okay.
If you go down into
didn't
the
know.
root, what they call the root,
And that's what you're scraping. When she mentioned scraping the root, that's what she was
I'd
talking
have
about?
to see exactly what they're talking about, but basically you're going into where that nail is generated, the matrix of the nail, and
The birth of the
and
nail.
destroying
Yeah.
that. And but really, with fungus of the nails, typically you can control that with medicines, and you may require some blood tests to monitor that. But removing the nail is an extreme deal. You know, those nails are there for a purpose. And
Well, right.
And they do protect your feet and your hands and when you're active. So I would certainly consider my options before just removing the nail.
Well, you know, there's just a lot of things that you got to keep up with. And another simple thing that might not sound like it's a big deal, but I've got to ask the question because a younger person asked me this question. It was a younger married couple, and they both work. They have 8 to 5 jobs. They have children. They go through the 9 yards of getting ready for work, going through the day. Their question was, what is the most important meal of the day? If I've got to miss a meal, if I have to sacrifice one out of the 3, breakfast, dinner, or supper, I'll call it that way. Most people might call it lunch and then dinner, but I'm going to call it breakfast, dinner, or supper. If I had to sacrifice one, which one, or I had to put importance on the main one, which one do you, in your opinion, think it would be?
Right. Well, first, I call it the same thing you call it. It's breakfast, dinner, and supper. Jesus ate the Last Supper, and I think we ought to keep supper in the mix.
Well, I wouldn't do it. I'm doing it out of, yeah, you're right.
but I certainly agree with that. And but no, and nobody's probably gonna like my answer because it's not an easy answer because I think all of them are important.
Well, I understand that.
And it's really hard to pick because actually endocrinologists, the people that are specialists in diabetes and diabetes prevention, say we all should be eating 4 small meals a day. So that even makes it more difficult.
Right.
If you can't eat a meal, I would certainly try to supplement it with a protein shake of some sort.
Or maybe one of these granola bars. Or
Something
like that.
you need to get something because what happens if you do not get good nutrition inside of you, your body is going to take it from your muscle or your brain. And again, I don't want to lose any more of my brain tissue than I have, and I don't exercise as much as I need to. I don't want to lose my muscle. But I would certainly, if I had to forego one, and this is just Dr. Cummins' personal opinion, I would have a low or not very much at supper time because you're not going to metabolize as much overnight.
Right.
Breakfast, I think, would be the most important, in my opinion.
Well, I've heard that all my life. Breakfast is your most important meal because that starts your day and fuels your tank for the whole rest of the day.
But you need your square meals
Well, I
a day.
understand, but they're busy and they're looking at it. Well, if I gotta miss one, what? And my answer to the question was breakfast.
Yeah.
Was breakfast was the most important.
But I would certainly.
I would have answered the question dinner.
Yeah. But if I'm not eating, I would try to get some kind of protein in there to continue that day, keep your immune system healthy.
Well, you ain't gonna believe this, but it is time to go. We have enjoyed our half hour with Dr. Cummins. Once again, the number is 587-8176. No question too big, too small, too smart, too dumb. Good way to put it. Please call, write the number down, 587-8176. Call it. It's private. We won't reveal names. It'll be held confidentially. No name called. Ask the questions and we'll try to get it answered for you. Dr. Cummins, appreciate you coming in this evening. So until next week, we'll sign off. Have a safe holiday. Veterans Day, real quickly. Veterans
That's
are going to
right.
have a big service
On
on
Square,
Thursday, on the square.
11
Thursday.
a.m. 11 a.m.
Well, we'll be on the air, I guess, after that. But Anyway, we certainly appreciate you looking in tonight with us, and we'll see you next week. Good night.